All right, welcome in episode 54 of the Logan Ward Show. Be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, especially on YouTube if you can. All right, NBA, a little bit of NBA stuff here to start the show. Just got done, if you're watching this on Wednesday morning, the Lakers-Pacers game just ended. And just watched LeBron have a tip-in buzzer beater game winner. LeBron did not play well in this game at all. He was struggling shooting, and at one point they even put up the graphic because he had 7 points. I think it's through the three quarters, and so he only had 7 points through three quarters, and so they put up the graphic. The last time I think he has over 1,200 straight games of at least 10 points. 1,200 straight games of at least 10 points in his career. To put that in perspective, number 2 is Michael Jordan, and he has like 833. So 1,200 plus games of LeBron James having at least 10 points in a game. He had 13 tonight. Didn't play particularly well, especially shooting the ball. Was 4 for 12 from the field, 0 for 3 from three-point range. But this is LeBron's getting back into shape. I say getting back into shape. He's getting back to it. Of course, he missed some time with that groin injury. So this is, I think, the third game LeBron has played since coming back from injury. He's going to be fine. This Lakers team, I do think, is going to be dangerous. Now, they have not played particularly well in the last couple of weeks. If you look, they've kind of lost some games that they should have won, or at least they feel like they should have won. And so coming into tonight's, they lost against the Bulls on Saturday in a bad game, a game that they probably obviously wanted to win. Gave up 146 points to the Bulls, had lost to the Bucks after they were able to beat the Nuggets. So they lost to the Magic and the Bulls. This is a win that I think they absolutely needed. They play tomorrow night against the Bulls again, this time on the road in Chicago. So tonight they get a win, a buzzer beater tip in for LeBron, ends it, and you're still battling for that 2 seed. They're still sitting there in the Western Conference battling for that 3 seed, 2 seed, 3 seed ish right now. Right now, if I were to say today, March 26th, I would assume that it's going to be the Nuggets-Lakers kind of battling it out for that 3 seed. I don't think that Houston's going to fall off that much. They have a 2-game lead over the Nuggets right now. The Rockets have been playing pretty well as of late. They had a win the other night against the Hawks. So I do think that the Rockets are probably going to continue their run. They do have the Suns and the Lakers coming up. But I want to talk again just a little bit about the Lakers. In this game, you look at Luka Doncic, who led all scorers. He had 34 points. It was 11 for 21 from the field, 6 for 7 at the free throw line. Doncic finished with 34 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. Although LeBron did not shoot the ball particularly well tonight, and he had only had 13 points, he was still a +5 in the box score. Still a +5 in the box score. Played 38 minutes, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 7 assists, only 1 turnover, 1 foul. +5, plus or minus. Even at 40 years old, if he's not getting buckets, LeBron James is still making positive impacts on a team. And I think that sometimes that gets lost. I think that we are getting to the point with LeBron that we keep hearing, yes, he's 40 years old. It's this big deal. But this is insane. We have not seen this in modern NBA history. you've seen Wilt Chamberlain. They talked about Wilt Chamberlain could have played until he was 45. There were teams apparently calling Wilt when he was in his 50s, asking if he wanted to play basketball because they felt like he could still play the game at a high level. But we haven't seen that in modern basketball, where on any given night, LeBron is still a top 10 player in this league, a top 5 player in this league. He had that little stretch run earlier in this season that he was looking like maybe the third best player in the league. And at 40 years old, you're going to have some off nights. And tonight was one of those. 4 for 12 from the field. Wasn't shooting the ball well. 0 for 3. Luckily, he only took 3 3-pointers. Sometimes LeBron gets into a mode where he's going to try to shoot himself out of a funk and takes bad jump shots even though he's not hitting them. I don't think he's done that as much with the Lakers. He used to do that with the Heat. LeBron would get into this mode where he wasn't hitting jump shots and he would continue just to shoot jump shots. He wouldn't just get to the rim, and it always used to infuriate me because he was the biggest, the fastest, largest player to be able to go downhill and get to the rim, and you're settling for jump shots. That was the old LeBron. New LeBron, I think, understands a little bit more and doesn't try to shoot his way out of these. So only 0 for 3 from 3-point range. But the last tip-in play, Luka missed the floater, and nobody boxed out LeBron. LeBron was just able to come onto the short block, get it, tip in, easy. And as soon as it left his hand, as soon as he jumped up there and tapped it in, I knew it was going to count. And the Pacers bench looked stunned, but nobody blocked out LeBron. I mean, he was able to just easily get down to the basket and tip the ball in. So Lakers win. They move to 44-28. They're still fighting for that spot. They're still trying to figure out where are they going to be in the standings. And I do think there was a lot of conversation. There's a lot of conversation about like this is the down part. This is the slow time of the NBA and no one's really watching. This is the lull. I think this time period is actually some of the most important times in the season because all these teams that are getting ready for the postseason, you're really trying to hone in on your rotations, who's going to play what minutes in the postseason, can you rely on in certain situations. You're really trying to use these games, these last like 10 or so games, to get ready for postseason. Some of these teams are probably going to start resting some players as we get closer to the regular season finale. But you have a race for the 3 seed in the Western Conference. In the Western Conference, you have 3 teams that are all within a half game of each other, trying to battle it out for who's going to be the 3 seed, who's going to be the 4, and who's going to be the 5. I still think that there's a possibility that the Clippers, who've been playing really well, and Kawhi Leonard has been playing well recently, I still think there is a chance that the Clippers could also kind of introduce themselves into this conversation. Because if you look at the Nuggets and the Lakers, both are 4-6 in their last 10. The Clippers are 8-2. The Clippers have been playing extremely well as of late. And if you're only 3 games back with 10 to play, I think that the Clippers could introduce themselves into that 3-4-5 battling, jockeying for position that we kind of have going on right now. But right now, especially the Western Conference, the Eastern Conference is a little bit more slotted. We're kind of looking at these matchups. We kind of know who's going to be playing. I don't think there's going to be a drastic change in terms of the pecking order in the Eastern Conference. But in the West, you still got a lot of games and a lot of meaningful games to play. If you don't think that the Lakers right now are playing a game and then looking to check to see what the Nuggets have done, I think that they're doing that. I think that they are probably saying, okay, we got the win tonight. Lakers got the win today. What are the Nuggets doing? All right. So if the Nuggets lose this game, where are we in the standings and how many more games do we have to kind of see if we can get to that 3 seed? Now, Do the Lakers want to play the Clippers in the first round? Maybe not. Would they rather play the Grizzlies, the 4-5 matchup, instead of playing the Clippers, who are probably going to be the 6th seed or looking like they're going to be the 6th seed? That is a possibility. But tonight, LeBron didn't play very well. Luka was able to do his thing, 34-7-7. The Lakers get the win. The tip-in buzzer beater from LeBron James wins it. All right, moving on. In NFL talk, Russell Wilson signs a 1-year contract with the Giants. 1 year, $10.5 million deal, pretty cheap. He got a lot of money from Denver. He didn't have to take a big contract in Pittsburgh. This is a 1-year deal worth $10.5 million. They also signed Jameis Winston to a contract a couple of weeks ago. Russell Wilson has come in and said, I expect to be the starter. I'm interested as to what this means for Shedeur. I think that the consensus was that Shedeur would probably go 3 to the Giants. It would be Cam Ward 1, Abdul Carter 2, and then you have the Giants at 3, and that's where Shedeur Sanders would have landed. I don't know if this is the case, but if you get Jameis Winston and then you're going to bring in Russell Wilson, you have 2 veteran quarterbacks on your roster. Are you going to bring in a rookie in Shedeur Sanders and hand him the keys? Are you going to draft him? I don't think that this would be the possibility, and I don't think that this would be the right move for the Giants. I don't think that drafting Shedeur Sanders and then not giving him the starting position, making him wait behind Russell Wilson, learning from Jameis Winston, I don't know if that's the right move. Because, one, I think New York fans would immediately know, or at least the perception would be, Shedeur is a better quarterback right now. Let's play him. He's the starter. I don't think that Shedeur would obviously like that. He's going to a big market. He's going to New York. It's not like it's Patrick Mahomes sitting behind Alex Smith because it's a playoff team. This Giants team has been awful. This Giants team has not been competitive for a decade. And so if you draft Shedeur, fans are going to want you to play him. I don't think that you're drafting him to wait and watch behind Russell Wilson, who we have seen over the last couple of years. His last year in Denver, he had a decent season last year. Towards the middle part of last season, I thought Russell Wilson actually played pretty well. The end of the season did not go very well, and we know that Russell Wilson is not a top 15, top 20 quarterback in the league right now. He's at least not a top 15, 20 player that you're going to start the season with. If you have a rookie, you're probably would more likely to start that rookie than Russell Wilson. And so did you sign Russell Wilson to a 1-year, $10.5 million deal to be a backup? Then why'd you give the money to Jameis Winston? I don't know if Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are like, you know what, this is our last year. If we don't get this right, we're not going to be here. I don't know how you look at Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston and go, this might fix it. We can at least win a couple more games with these two people. Why not just go all out and try to draft Shedeur Sanders? And if he's a good player, if he is Jaden Daniels, or even if he's Bo Nix level competency at the quarterback position next year, then you're going to keep your job most likely. if you don't draft Shedeur and you brought in Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston, you're going to lose your job. This is not a good roster. And so I think that the only hope for Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen to keep their job is drafting Shedeur and him being competent. Him being the Bo Nix level competent. Where you see flashes, he wins you some games, and you're like, yeah, you know what? We actually might be able to do something with this. That's the model. That's the only way that I see Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen keeping their job. So I, again, was kind of scratching my head at this. I'm not sure what their idea is. I don't know what it is. Now, if you're Shedeur, and this has been talked about a little bit, I've seen a couple of chatter on this specific topic that if the Giants don't draft him, if the Giants don't draft Shedeur might be in trouble. Meaning, it might be a Aaron Rodgers-esque fall for Shedeur Sanders if the Giants don't take him at 3. So, we obviously know that the Titans have the number 1 overall pick. You have the Titans, Cleveland, and those two teams are looking for quarterbacks. At least we assume that the Browns are going to at least contemplate the idea of bringing in a quarterback. Titans are taking a quarterback. The Browns possibly. But if they take Abdul Carter and the Giants don't take you, then how far does Shedeur Sanders fall? Patriots, no. Jacksonville's not taking a quarterback. The Raiders just gave Geno Smith a lot of money. I don't think that they're going to draft a quarterback with the 6th overall pick when you just gave Geno Smith the contract that you gave him. The Jets, they signed Justin Fields. I don't think that they're going to go in a direction of a rookie quarterback. The Panthers, no. Saints, maybe. Maybe the Saints would be interested. Bears, no. 49ers, no. Cowboys, no. Dolphins, no. Colts, possibly. Falcons, maybe. But they just drafted Michael Penix. Cardinals, no. Bengals, no. Seahawks, no. I just don't see. I think that if the Giants don't take Shedeur, then you might start seeing Shedeur fall down the board, which would be something. Would be great TV. I think that all of us would be like, "Hey, this is this is interesting. Let me tune into ESPN for a minute because this could get interesting." So I don't know what the Giants are doing. My concern is, or at least what I think. My take on this is they're either really dumb, and this is talking about Daboll and Sheen. They're either really dumb and are going to hand the keys over to Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston because that's going to cost you your job, or they're going to still draft Shedeur Sanders and just want 2 really expensive and kind of larger-than-life backups behind a larger-than-life, I don't want to say diva, but higher maintenance quarterback in Shedeur Sanders. I don't know what the Giants are doing, but hopefully, at least for their fans' sakes, look, I'm a Cowboys fan, so I don't really care what the Giants do. But, you know, this is really interesting stuff. All right. Finally, I want to talk a little bit more March Madness. There's been a lot of conversation about March Madness, and it's been all chalk this year. You have all 4 number 1 seeds. I believe all 4 number 2 seeds and 3 seeds are still in it. I still have my entire Final Four is still in the tournament right now. It's been very chalky, and the overall conversation has been this is what happens when you have the NIL and the transfer portal. You don't get the upsets. You don't get the St. Peter's from a couple years ago. You don't get the Loyola College. You don't get those types of Cinderella runs when you have NIL and you have the transfer portal. And the reasoning behind that, at least is what people are saying, at least they're theorizing, is that these big programs, these major programs, the Floridas, your UConn, Kentucky, Duke, all of these teams are using mid-majors as feeder schools. Rick Pitino at St. John's came out and said, I'm not even recruiting freshmen anymore. I'm not recruiting a freshman. I want somebody who's 20, 21 years old to come into the program. I'm not trying to waste my time with an 18-year-old anymore. That's what the transfer portal has allowed to happen. NIL has allowed big brands, Duke, North Carolina, Tennessee, that it has allowed them to pay for players that have proven success, that have played college basketball for a couple of years, to bring them in to their program and win a lot of games. And while I tend to agree with that in terms of I do think that there is a correlation between the lack of mid-major success, I guess you can say, and the transfer portal. I do also know that right now we're only at 1 or 2 data points. That if this is a trend over the next 6 years where your 1, 2s, and 3 seeds are all in, there's no double-digit seeds in the Sweet 16, if that continues, if that is a trend that we look at 6 years from now, maybe that's when we can have this conversation. But for right now, we're a couple of tournaments in to our new transfer portal NIL world. I don't think we have enough data. I will also point this out to you. The March Madness tournament has always been good on day 1 and day 2 when upsets happen. In the round of 64, we really like upsets. We like the 14 over the 3. We like those things. Once you get to the Sweet 16, and the Elite 8, and the Final Four, I think that most people want brands. That is evident in the report that this March Madness has been the most watched March Madness in like 25 years. Ratings are at a 25 or 20-year high right now because, number one, your brands are in it. Your big brands. You have Duke that is relevant, Florida, Tennessee. These are big brands, not in just college basketball, but in college athletics, period. Right? I think that Tennessee is a really big brand. Football, baseball, basketball, that's a big brand. All right, you have Duke, obviously, is the biggest brand. University of Houston. Houston's one of the top biggest markets in the country. I think that having all of these programs in the Sweet 16 and playing well and looking like you're on a collision course between a couple of these squads, I think that kind of feeds into this. I think that as a consumer, we want to watch brands. We don't want to watch Drake or Dayton. We don't want to watch some of these schools that are good programs. I think we like it day 1 and day 2 rather than 64. I think we like it in that round. We can take it or leave it in the round of 32. But by the Sweet 16, we don't want it anymore. We want the powers. We want the big brands. And I think that's evident in the ratings that have come out. All right. That's all I got for you today. Be sure to subscribe on the YouTube. You can also subscribe wherever you listen to your podcast, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. I believe it's on Amazon, all sorts of things. So be sure to subscribe wherever, and we'll check you out on the next episode. Peace.